Hey, this is Dennis, and welcome to another episode of the Ground to Reason podcast. Joel is off this week, so I'm going to be flying solo for much of this episode. However, later on, I will be interviewing Mr. Charlie Nooney. He's been an executive for Walt Disney Company and Technicolor, so he's been in the TV industry for some time. Presently, Mr. Nooney is the CEO of a company called MobiTV. And they have a technology platform that may help the pay TV industry innovate in a way that might actually give customers exactly what they want. I was interested myself, so that's why I had him on the show. However, before we get to the interview, I wanted to go over some studies in recent weeks that show the pay TV industry are currently not giving customers exactly what they want. And if you've been a pay TV customer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Basically, you're paying a lot of money for a lot of content, and you only watch maybe a handful of it. Now, when I got the cord like 4 years ago, I was pretty bare bones about it. And it's because I'm pretty picky about what I, invest my time in when it comes to watching TV. I like a few Netflix originals. I like a good bit of HBO shows. But when it comes to what you catch on cable, maybe I only watch maybe a handful total, maybe 4 or 5 shows. And for those, I would just buy them directly from Amazon. You can do the same with iTunes. Now, when you do that, I mean, I've said this before, I think it's the best way to cut the cord because it'll save you the most money. Because you can buy a current season of a show for like $25, $27. You get the whole season and you get to watch it one day after it airs on television. That's how I watch Walking Dead. That's how I watch Orphan Black. But again, I understand that won't work for everyone. I mean, because everybody has different tastes when it comes to the TV shows you watch. And not everyone's just going to be able to pick 4 or 5 cable TV shows, buy those and be happy. Some people like to sit back and like to surf channels. You really can't do that if you don't have some type of over-the-top live streaming TV service. Some people, want more sports, and the only way you're going to get that is with again like a Sling TV or you can get MLB TV or the NBA League Pass or one of those services. I mean, some people enjoy reality TV, and I mean, they're going to find it hard to, how many housewife shows are there? People are going to find it's going to get pretty expensive if you watch all of them to just go to Amazon and buy the current season of each one of those. And I get that. So that's when it makes sense to, purchase one of those live streaming services. Now, I mean, pay TV's model has been to bundle everything up, give people as many channels as they can for as much money as people are willing to pay. And you wind up with customers getting a service when they might even only watch, 10% of the channels they own. And as the price has been going up and up, I mean, people would deal with that early on. You go back 10, 15 years when the packages weren't as expensive as they are now. And people would say, sure. I mean, I've got, 100 and some odd channels, and there's really nothing I want to watch, but this is how I get television, and it's not that expensive, so I don't mind paying the bill every month. But as it's creeped up to where, we're talking just, your average, just the TV part of your average package is costing $67, $70. It's gotten untenable, and people just they either don't see the value in it, or they just can't afford it. And that's left the pay TV industry quite vulnerable to online services, application services like Hulu TV or Sling TV that will offer a slimmed down package with all the popular channels for maybe a third or a half the price that you would normally pay for just the video portion of your double play or your triple play bundle. And it's happening, more and more. And every week a new service is throwing their hat in the ring. I mean, so far the big ones, you have Hulu TV, YouTube TV, Sling TV, PlayStation View, DirecTV Now, um, Fubo TV, which was used to be dedicated kind of their content towards soccer, and now they're pretty much a full blown um, streaming package. I wrote an article about it last week. I'll put it in the show notes. And then there's other, there's a bunch of startups that are looking at doing this right now. Each of those is a viable option to save money and to just cancel your cable or your satellite subscription. Now, I mean, cord cutting a few years back was kind of, I wouldn't say fringe, but it was people that were more, tech savvy is not the right word, but more inclined to just kind of go out and more DIY, more going out and figuring out how exactly to do it. Now, as more and more services hit that I just mentioned, it's easy now. I mean, it's easy just to go out and get yourself, a Roku or an Amazon Fire TV or, a NVIDIA Shield or any streaming device, everyone already has Netflix or Amazon Prime. So they already have content. So now it's just a matter of figuring out, do you want, what shows must you watch and getting a hold of those? And now, everyone is asking about this. My groundedreason.com, the blog, has, people all ages, all different backgrounds figuring out how to do this. I mean, I've had numerous people. I've had octogenarians cutting the cord. Everyone is talking about this, and it's showing now in the numbers. There's a financial services firm called UBS, and they recently did a study where they wanted to find the answer to the question if were people going to drop, or would they drop their traditional pay TV service for a smaller yet more affordable online offering. And I'll quote, because they actually summarized this study bit in a recent Business Insider article. I'll put it in the show notes. But here's a quote from the article. It says, UBS said the availability of cheap live streaming alternatives is contributing to more people canceling traditional packages. And this is in parentheses, elevated traditional video churn. That's what that's called. Basically, it's like how many people are, when they cancel in the pay TV industry, they call it churn. The analyst also said it's hurting the ability of pay TV companies to charge high rates, their quote unquote pricing power. Boo-hoo. That was me. If you are a pay TV operator, especially one that doesn't own one of the upstarts, that is bad news for you. Now, by upstarts, they mean, one of those over-the-top streaming services I just mentioned. Now, which I guess that would include AT&T, because they're in pretty good ground right now with DirecTV Now. Dish Network owns Sling TV. So it's not just, your Hulu and your, YouTube TV and, what have you. There's a lot of these traditional pay TV services are going that route of getting some type of over-the-top, streaming service. Now, I got a kick out of the fact that they're pointing out that they're not, the cable TV companies or pay TV companies aren't able to charge, have pricing power to charge higher rates. And it really just speaks to how many industries are like that, where an analyst kind of just points out the lack of competition in the industry for so long has got them into this situation, because they're so used to just, if they need to make more profit, if they need that number, if they need to show their shareholders that they're making money, all they have to do is turn up the knob on, how much they're going to charge the customer. And it doesn't matter, because there's so many places out there where they're the only game in town. Or they'll do that regionally. If they, have a lock on an area or have exclusivity in a city, they will charge exorbitant rates. Where if you go one city over and the price of the cable TV package is half. It's less prevalent now, but back, a couple years back before cord cutting, it was rampant. I know in Baltimore City they had an exclusivity contract, and the pricing on the Comcast in Baltimore City was like double what it was just over the county line, because they had competition in the county where they didn't in the city. And that's all over. Like that's all over the country where you can find one provider. They're kind of rigging the game in their favor, or at least they were. Now, and what the study concludes is with all of these over the top services, they're not able to do that anymore. These over the top services are actually what they're calling cannibalizing some of the pay TV industry, meaning that if you have a cable company or satellite company that has one of these services, people are likely to kind of just ditch the traditional service and grab on to that streaming service because it's cheaper, it's more convenient. You don't have to have a kind of one of those big, hideous, ugly boxes in your house, cable boxes or satellite boxes, and you watch the content you want to watch when you want to watch it, because it's like on demand, and all your broadcast networks are free. So people are realizing this, and they are leaving cable TV in droves. Because we did an episode not too long ago where in the first quarter of 2017, it was over 750 million households dropped their pay TV subscription, which is insane. It's a massive number of people. It's something like 5 times the number of people that dropped pay TV the same quarter in 2016. So, 500% increase. It's unheard of. There are a number of analysts saying the second quarter of 2017, they're going to hit over 1 million subscriber losses. So we're almost at 2 million, like 1.75 halfway through this year. I mean, a friendly estimate for the year, you're talking 3 million households. I mean, I'm saying subscribers, I really mean households. 3 million households dropping pay TV. And the analysts over at SNL Kagan, which is a Wall Street research firm, they're predicting that by 2021, 10.8 million more subscribers are going to ditch pay TV. So, I mean, that still leaves traditional cable industry with 82 million subscribers, but that's 20% off of their peak just a few years back. So people are leaving in droves. I mean, Kagan also went on to say that by that time, they expect the online streaming options, like your Sling TVs and your PlayStation Views, will begin to, quickly go mainstream and have over 11 million users by 2021. So right there is saying that's another story saying that people are moving from their pay TV to their over-the-top streaming services because they see more value. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. It comes down to value. I mean, and it also comes down to, Joel and I talk about this often, the cable boxes. You go and you get on those, you get on the website, you look at a promo price that says you're going to get some kind of triple play package for, a reasonable price, $70, whatever it is. And then you get your first bill and you have, a fee, a $10 fee for each cable box for each television you have. You have, all these other, regional service fees. You have, if you want HD, you have to pay for a better box. If you want a DVR or multi-room DVR, it's like $20. And before you know it, you're well over $100. You're adding $40 to $50 to your bill and fees and taxes and everything else. And it's just, I mean, no one wants that. I mean, you want to pay the price that you think that you're going to be paying. And when your bill comes and it's nearly, double of what you were quoted. And I know the fine print, spells it all out for you. But, you get lured in by this special promo deal, which really isn't a deal at all when it's all said and done. And I mean, a lot of that gets back to that ancient antiquity known as the cable box. Now, I mean, we did a whole episode on the cable box, and under the last FCC, the Chairman Wheeler's FCC, he came up with a plan And I mean, and this was due to the fact that a study was released showing that something like 20 some odd $billion a year were being paid in device rental fees, and the average customer was paying something like $22 extra per month on just the equipment or for the cable boxes. Now that spawned the FCC to kind of step in, and they came up with something called Unlock the Box, where they were going to have the providers, the pay TV providers, open up their box to where you could install apps on it, essentially, or to where you could get the box and use any number of various services. So to kind of make it like an open platform. Now the industry kind of got together and they said, well, how about instead of doing that, how about we go with more of an app model where we'll release apps that you can install on various, streaming devices that people would have, kind of like a bring your own device type of deal. And that looked like it was getting some traction. Comcast actually put out one of these apps to use on the Roku. Now, the funny thing about that is I think they were charging you $7.90 something per device to install it. So if you had 3 TVs or 3 Rokus, you'd had to pay $7, $7 or $8 for just to be able to install it and use it, which is kind of absurd. I mean, it's a little bit cheaper. I think the final number is people were saving like maybe $2.95 on each app because they could get rid of the $10 rental fee and then just pay the app fee. But still, I mean, that's one of the big problems with the box is the price. So I don't know how workable that is. But they were making a lot of headway, and then the current FCC under Chairman Ajit Pai kind of just tabled it, like just let it go away, like they're not even going to discuss it. And much of the industry has kind of backed away from doing this ditch the box type of program where they're releasing these apps. And all the major players in the industry endorsed this type of ditch the box plan until, of course, the FCC kind of tabled it. And then you get quotes like the one I'm about to read from an NCTA spokesman. Now, the NCTA is one of the largest trade organizations for pay TV and for internet service providers as well. But their spokesman Brian Dietz wrote in an email, and this is an article out of Yahoo Finance, and I'll put it out there on the show notes. They say in the email said that the Ditch the Box was pitched as an alternative to Wheeler's original proposal. Without the FCC's acceptance of Ditch the Box, that plan got ditched. So basically saying, since the FCC has kind of, dropped the idea, then there really was no plan on the table, so they're not going to move forward with any of this. Even though I think any customer who would love to see this, and it's obvious because they're all leaving pay TV for services that will allow them to just install an app that just goes on a box that they already own, like a Roku or an Amazon Fire TV or an Apple TV or an NVIDIA Shield. There's tons of them out there. And it's to the point now, like where everybody has, not everybody, but the majority of TV watchers have some type of subscription like a Netflix or Amazon Prime, which means they probably have a streaming device somewhere, or they're using their phone and they're casting it, or they have a smart TV. Every TV you buy these days tends to have a smart interface to where you can watch Netflix or Amazon Prime or any number of other streaming channels over the top. Now, I mean, the funny thing with these streaming services is they're really delivering a lot of the same content. They're just doing it differently, more in line with what the customer wants to see, and more affordably. And they're doing this by delivering it over the internet through an IP service, as opposed to cable technology services like QAM or whatever. But so really, all that needs to happen would be for the cable TV or the pay TV industry. Sorry, the satellite guys out there. and gals. All they would need to do is get innovative, get competitive when it comes to how they're delivering their content. But I mean, since it seems that, well, at least with the big players, I'm not talking about like your smaller and your mid tiers, but I mean, your big AT&Ts and your Verizons and your Comcasts and Charters. It seems like you need regulatory body to kind of hit them on the head before they're willing to listen to their customers. Because that the customer, I mean, obviously right now they seem to be, talking with their dollars, because those dollars are being shifted from pay TV services with the cable box over to over the top devices. Now, I mean, that's interesting because it does really blur the line on, what cord cutting is, if that were ever to happen. I would just kind of wave the flag and say that we've won at that point, because we have, cheap, affordable, we have what we want. Because I mean, it's like, yes, we're all cord cutters, and it's great to kind of be part of like, this community. But if consumers get their way and we're getting affordable television over and video and media at a price that we think is fair, then I don't care what you call it. Really, at that point, I mean, we're all kind of happy campers, and I'll have to start talking about other stuff. But I mean, I really doubt we're ever going to get to a world where ISPs and video content providers are giving their customers everything they want. But actually, that kind of gets me to my guest today, because the interview that I'm about to play for you, he has a strategy and a platform that will be able to facilitate the pay TV industry, all sizes, shapes, and sizes, from your small tier all the way up to your top tiers, to give them a platform that will allow them to compete, and basically with a bring your own device model, to where we're opening up all kinds of competition between your traditional pay TV providers and your Sling TVs and your DirecTV Nows and your PlayStation Views, to actually all compete against one another. So it's actually good for the customer, because it'll actually force more competition in the video market. So I'm going to get the interview, and we're all going to hear what he has to say. Today I'm talking with Charlie Nooney. He is the CEO and chairman of MobiTV, which has developed a media distribution platform that will allow streaming video to various devices. Charlie envisions a future where pay TV operators can utilize MobiTV's platform to compete and innovate in today's ever-changing TV and online video environment. Hey, Charlie, thanks for coming on the show.
No, it's my pleasure, Dennis. How are you doing?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Good.
MobiTV's been around for quite some time. I remember, last decade they were delivering live video over mobile devices, and I think Sprint was one of the major customers delivering actual live TV service way back when, in like 2009, which in the world of online video seems like centuries ago. But so what is MobiTV's current plans in regard to the pay TV, cord cutting, and online video space?
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, we the company has been around quite a while. I mean, we were born out of the mobile video business. In fact, MobiTV was really the thought leader in terms of mobile video across multiple carriers, first one to do live, et cetera. And we still have a good carrier business. However, as time has moved on and we've evolved the product, we've certainly taken advantage of the fact that Android and iOS is no longer just restricted to mobile devices. It's actually running a lot of streaming devices that reside inside the home. So really what our end-to-end platform does is allows cable operators to compete with the likes of other services that are providing application-type video solutions, and do it in a way that's very cost-efficient, very localized, very much with their branding, et cetera, and allows them not only to stay in the video game, but to allows them to bundle their video with broadband and stay competitive in that space as well.
Okay, so how does MobiTV kind of distinguish itself from services like Sling TV, DirecTV Now, YouTube TV, Hulu, and View? It seems like every week a new one's coming on board.
No, they are. I mean, again, it is amazing. I think what makes us very unique is we're really designed for the operator. I mean, at the end of the day, this is not an OTT service. What we really were providing is an IPTV service that the operators actually can run and manage with inside either their network or through a managed service type operation. So if you're an operator and pick a place in the United States, what this allows you to do, as opposed to a pure OTT service, is allows you to stay in the video business. So, a lot of these cable operators have built good businesses. They are concerned about the loss of subscribers to the OTT services. However, they still have great presence in their communities. They local channels are still important. Branding is still important. Like I said, bundling is still important. So what really distinguishes us is we really are there as a white label service for the operator, as opposed to a pure OTT service.
We talk about this a lot on the show, about the fact that the cable box is kind of the major part of the billing surprise when someone signs on for like a new pay TV service. They'll have the promo price, but then when the bill comes, they kind of get sticker shock because it's like $30 to $40 more per month than the promo price, and a lot of that's attributed to the box. Where do you come in that?
Well, again, like I said, what we will provide is that if you look right now, 70% of households have a streaming device in there. It's at least one streaming device in their house. So again, if you're signing up for pay television, and let's use C Spire since they're a customer that is launching. What will happen is you will be directed to one of the streaming devices. So if I'm an operator, I'm not carrying box inventory moving forward. I'm not having to do massive truck rolls and installations. It's an application that's downloaded on my Roku, Amazon, Apple, any Android smart TVs, etc. And it becomes an application like Netflix or anything else. The difference being is I get all my channels. I get network DVR. I get picture-in-a-picture. I get voice control. I get all the bells and whistles of we like to say, an Infinity Plus experience.
From a consumer perspective, I think that's great. Now, I don't see many cable or pay TV companies kind of putting their hat in the ring on this, though. Are you seeing something different from your end? We're seeing.
I mean, this is brand new. I mean, the thing about it that is everyone's building these skinny clients. I mean, if you look at some of the work that Comcast and others are doing, I think the fact that this is moving to application based is almost inevitable. I mean, I'm not saying set-top boxes will go away tomorrow night, but at the end of the day, this is almost an inevitable transition that the application business is a business for pay television. So, this is just starting. I mean, C Spire is just launching. They were really the first ones in the space, but our pipeline, the other announcements we're having, the level of interest in this is enormous. Because, again, at the end of the day, if I'm a video provider, my margins are getting thinner. I'm sitting in many cases, and take the Comcasts of the world out of the equation for a second. I'm sitting on a good business, my broadband business, my bundling business, et cetera, but my margins are getting thinner and thinner on video, and now I've got to make a big infrastructure lift. So I've got to either, in order to be compatible with 4K sets and everything else, I'm going to have to revert to IP. So either I do a big overhaul of my infrastructure, I carry my box inventory, et cetera, or I look at a different way to do this. And if I do it through the MobiTV platform, what I'm able to do is not only provide the application-based service, but all of a sudden I'm back in the game in terms of innovations and creativity and making sure I got the state-of-the-art system, because as you well know, it's hard with a existing set-top box to stay innovative. I mean, the one company that does well with it is Comcast, and they put a lot of time and effort in it. But you get a lot of these mid-sized operators that are dependent on some of these set-top box companies. They're not able to get the innovation to compete with the Netflix, Hulu's, DirecTV Nows of the world.
Okay, yeah. So you're not that you wouldn't take a Comcast if they came to you, but your target audience right now is more of your kind of mid-tier, like startup type video distribution.
Yeah, I think the mid-tier operators are a very important piece of this. I mean, you're talking about 20 million plus households across the United States, or with broadband even more. At the end of the day, it's a group that really is going to have to make some hard decisions on video. And these are decisions that can't be put off for 2 or 3 years. They need to be made in the near term, because, like I said, at the end of the day, you got 4K sets coming out. You got all these things that are forcing this type of transition. And so decisions have to be made. And like I said, most people that have these types of businesses are not that keen on just handing it off to another video provider to provide an over-top service and get some kind of bounty. They want to stay in the game. And like I said, bundling of broadband is a huge reason of that. I mean, the line between cable operator and broadband operator is pretty narrow. I mean, at the end of the day, all these guys see the opportunity within broadband and video, and having a video service is an important part of that offering.
Okay, so basically, if you're a smaller ISP, you could use your product to actually kind of offer a bundle package. It's not just for your you can get into video with MobiTV.
You can actually get into video or continue in video. I mean, again, like I said, if you're in, if you're in Tupelo, Mississippi, and you decide that MobiTV is put inside the network system, et cetera. Like I said, moving forward, what you do is all your customers go straight to one of the streaming devices, or you point them a streaming device, or you provide them a streaming device. And, at the end of the day, whether it's a skinny bundle, full bundle, VOD, SVOD, TVOD, it doesn't really matter. We'll provide the service for you. But it will be your service, and it will be localized, and it will have local channels.
That sounds great. I've just in my area, I live in a large urban area, and I only have two providers, and it's two major ones. Where are you making headway currently in the U.S.?
Well, I think a lot of it is in kind of the mid-sized markets, the mid and small-sized markets is where we're getting a tremendous amount of interest. Because I live in San Francisco, I have my Xfinity service. It really is pretty good. But at the end of the day, that's the bar that people have to compete with. I mean, if you look at even the pay TV numbers, everyone's losing subscribers except Comcast in terms of traditional cable providers. And a lot of that is they have put a tremendous emphasis on user experience. And that's what we're really about. I mean, at the end of the day, when you look at the service we're providing for these operators, given the fact that it is application-based, it's software-based, given the fact that we can update pretty rapidly on Android and iOS, we really provide them a service that's as good as you can have in the market. So it's all about being able to compete. And,
right.
The great thing about application-based is easier to integrate other applications, et cetera. So, like I said, we really feel like that, there's going to be a couple of decision points the couple of decision points most folks are going to have to make. Either they redo their infrastructure and, set their set-top box infrastructure, et cetera, which people will do. They hand off their service and just get out of the business and say, okay, we'll be a pipe for Hulu, et cetera, which weakens their position with their end user, the customer. Or we're going to compete, and we're going to double down, and we're going to compete, and we're going to be innovative, but we're not going to carry legacy set-top boxes, or we're not going to carry a lot of inventory. We're going to find a more efficient way to deliver video to our customers.
Now, I mean, if you were to believe the data that's kind of been thrown out there, about 25% of roughly, back of the napkin type math here of the video revenue is due to equipment fees. What is kind of the answer there? Because that's a big disruption to revenue stream for a pay TV provider.
Well, I mean, there's other ways to monetize services. I mean, if you look at things like Netflix and OTT services, you do it through additional streams, you do it through additional storage sales. That's what people like selling a different storage. So there's ways to incrementalize, if you're an operator, the revenue. But you're right, what you eliminate, and again, the operators, make money off box rental, but it's also a big capital investment. And it also is something that the end user is not real thrilled about having, particularly when they have to switch back and forth within their box and their Netflix account, their Amazon account, et cetera. So, from our standpoint, if you're an operator, there's certainly following the Netflix type or Hulu type model, there's ways to monetize the service, providing incremental value in the service, like I said, like providing additional streams, providing additional storage. You could even charge for additional features, et cetera. So there's ways to make the business model work, but it's more tied to the consumer making selections that they want to make versus, I got to have this box in my house.
And is your service compatible? Does it offer on-demand and DVR functionality?
Absolutely. We have network DVR. We have on-demand services. We have, like I said, almost any bell and whistle you can think of in terms of the best quality of a cable service. We have Alexa integration. Voice integration into Android and Google. Android and Apple. We have, as I said, network DVR. We have catch-up TV. So again, it's a fully baked service. It's completely Title VI compliant.
And it's like it's IP based, so you can use any of. You could probably. I'm assuming you could probably integrate other popular streaming services in with your pay TV platform.
Yes. And that's
well, it's going to be on the Roku. Yeah, it's going to be on your Roku box anyway, so you're going to have it all in one.
Exactly
experience.
Right.
Now, when it comes to over the top, when it comes to over the air, the new standard coming out shortly in the next couple of years will actually have IP based broadcast TV.
Yes.
So will you also be able to integrate that?
Yes, absolutely. And again, I think every trend line is pointing to this type of deployment. Now, who the winners and losers will be and how it will play out, et cetera, that's all, based on kind of who does the best job, business opportunities, et cetera, et cetera. But, clearly there's a massive shift happening in the pay TV world. I mean, you can't deny it. If you look at just the pure numbers of people rolling off, you look at streaming devices in, if you look at some of the concerns. So, we feel like we're on the leading edge of something very big, but again, it'll be interesting to see it play out over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about this on the show for a while now, and it's shocking to me just the inertia in both ways, in both directions, because it seems like from the customer side, there's a huge demand for this, but then the size of the market players in this space is so large that the wheels move slow.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Where are you in other countries as well?
Well, right now we have a huge deployment in India. We've been in other countries. We've done a lot of stuff in Europe and Japan, but right now our focus is primarily here in North America. We just think the opportunity near term is really big here. But clearly, like I said, we have a massive deployment in India that we do that really spoke to the scalability of our solution, and we've done a lot of other stuff in Asia and Europe in the past years.
The reason I ask is how quick was the rollout when it comes to like a country like the size of India, which is billion people.
Well, India was extremely quick because just given the fact it was Reliance and they had the big footprint. I mean, that service ramped up to 110 million users in 6 months. So it was,
wow,
it was massive.
So what? I mean, I guess why is it so slow? Why does it feel like? Because this has been talked about for years, going to a completely IP-based TV. Why has it been slow to catch on here?
I don't know. I think ultimately, it really is, you said it, it's inertia. I mean, end of the day, it is a transition. Transitions sometimes have to be forced by, the realities of business. I mean, I was in the cable business on the content side for years, and, the fact of the matter is, it's a very good business. And, you've seen kind of the movement through the OTT providers for a couple of years now. What really now seems to be, hopefully taking off, and what we believe in is the idea that, operators can actually provide an IPTV system. And again, everyone's working on this in terms of the big guys. The thing that we have that's unique is that we're multi-tenant, meaning we can do multiple operators out of a single source. We can also do in-network. And, we've been doing, it's funny, you talked about the company earlier. We've been doing this for 17 years. And I always like to say we kind of hung around the hoop, because over the 17 years, what we became really good at was delivering, high concurrency, very stable video over Android and iOS devices. And the great thing about it now is that that solution moves very easily into the home. We're not having to integrate into a Linux box, et cetera. But to go back to your question, I think it's just, it just need to have that flashpoint. So I really do believe in the next 24 months, and if not sooner, based on just our pipeline and what we're looking at, is you're going to see a massive movement where people are going to say, look, this is how we're going to transition our business. This is what we need to do moving forward, because, we just can't keep doubling down on the infrastructure investment.
Okay. Well, you say the companies are working on this, some of the big guys. And I know Comcast put something out to where you could, you could stream their service on Roku. But they were gonna the price point was a little high, I thought personally. Yeah. But then I know a lot of this was in response to the last FCC, and they had this basically unlock the box, and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
the pay TV industry countered with how about ditch the box and they'll make online streaming apps for their services. But it was recently came out. I think the NCTA, a spokesman for the NCTA, said that that was in response to the previous administration, and the new FCC kind of tabled the whole thing. So they're not moving forward. I mean, they're not looking to move forward with it.
Yeah, we follow the regulatory environment very closely, obviously, because there was a lot of headwinds around this, tailwinds around the whole dish box movement. This is really not even, to me, it's not even predicated on that. Now, again, some of the bigger players maybe playing a higher game of chess in terms of how it relates to the FCC, but this is a consumer reaction. I mean, at the end of the day, these guys are losing their subscriber base to online applications. To application services, and they want to stay competitive. So at the end of the day, these operators have a base of subscribers that are very loyal to them, and they want to continue to offer video as part of their offering. So I don't really look at it as being in any type of response to any type of regulatory movement, whether that's good, bad, or indifferent. This is really just the inevitability of, we have to go IP-based. Do we do it with a set-top box? Do we put a new set-top box on top of our old set-top box? How do we do this? Or do I just get out of set-top box business and do I become an application-based service and do it that way? And that, like I said, this is being driven, in our mind, by consumers' choice versus anything that the FCC does or doesn't do.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree that I guess it's the consumer demand I feel has been there for a while. There's so much of the market is owned by so few companies, I guess, is my concern.
Yeah. Yes. No, that's true. That's very true. And again, there obviously in this market, a lot of people look at the big leaders and what they're doing. But again, at the end of the day, what we really feel like we are addressing is a problem, and that's the basis of any good business. The problem is, particularly for these mid-sized type operators, is what do I do? Because I want to stay in the business. I've got to do these things. There's really 2 or 3 clear paths for me to take. Which one do I take? And there's a lot of advantages for going to an application-based service. Like I said, from everything from your capital investment to your ability to stay competitive, there's just a lot of reasons to go in that direction.
Yeah. No, as we were talking about earlier, you guys cut your teeth on mobile delivery, over 15 years ago.
Yeah.
With 5th generation 5G internet on the way, like wireless internet, it's kind of coming around full circle for you guys.
Yeah.
Because with all that potential to for bandwidth and the reach of the internet, it seems like anyone that has a stable of content producers can kind of take a service like yours and deliver video. Are you seeing things like that starting to happen?
Yes. In fact, there are a couple announcements we're making soon about people that are new entries into the space, that they have a relationship with customers through, just being either a pure broadband provider or, even if you're, a utility company, you have that relationship. So, it is going to be interesting to see how much video will open up with some new entries in the market that have just the ability to reach out to customers directly. So, yeah, we are seeing that.
I know we need to, we're going to wrap this up, but I wanted to ask you one more question. What do you envision the future of pay TV and video to look like, say, in the next 3 to 5 years? Let's just say 2020. Will it look roughly the same, or do you think it'll just be a completely different experience and these big players will, finally realize that they have to kind of move forward and innovate to compete?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Again, I give Comcast a lot of credit. If you look at just what they've done in the last 2 years in terms of working on the Xfinity experience. Forget that it's a box. But the issues of integrating Netflix and integrating application-based service, getting voice integration in, the things that they've done in terms of user experience. The thing I think is going to happen is the pressure on innovation and delivering a high-quality product is going to be massive. In the old model, you kind of were the one-eyed king in a blind man's country. You really, the fact that you own that franchise, you had it, you deliver the thing that was the most paramount, and obviously still is just reliability of your service. But now it really is the fact that people's expectations in terms of having content when they want it, personalization of content, all those things lend itself to IP-based services. So I think that the consumer's changing and that these providers have to change with them. And the ones that don't will be taken over by people that will. So it'll be interesting. I think it'll be interesting to see as the accessibility to services increases, as some of these providers that have huge broadband footprints may become big players if they play their cards correctly in the moving forward, and some people that don't may fall back. So it's going to be fast. I would have never predicted if you would have gone back 5 years ago and said, look, this is the way the space is going to be now. I mean, we certainly hoped that there would be this type of service available because that was the business we're in, but it was hard to predict because you're right, people were talking about it forever. Now it seems like it's happening.
Yeah, I mean the tech there, it's a very it's scary. I guess if you're sitting on top, it's a very scary time. But if you're a consumer or you're a startup, it's a very exciting time right now. So I mean, I think you have the technology to kind of help these guys with the big guys with this. I guess it's culture really is the big block. The technology's there.
Yeah, the tech's there, and like I said, it really is. Like in most things, the tech always is always well ahead of the business models. But yeah, the tech's there, and again, everybody's making these. Everybody's trying to make decisions. I mean, it really is. It's funny. We talk to both big, middle, and small type companies, and they're all trying to figure out what's the play. And it's so core to their business that they really want to measure twice and cut once. But it's I can tell you, I've done this for a while. I've never seen the type of reaction that we've gotten for this, because this is an option people absolutely want to explore and see if they should take, because it's just it is so logical just to say, look, we're going to compete on a level playing field moving forward, and our customers have streaming devices. Let's take advantage of that.
Makes sense.
We'll adjust the business model accordingly. So.
Yeah. Charlie, I mean, thanks again. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. I mean, it's been a real pleasure talking to you.
No, it's my pleasure. It's been I really enjoyed the conversation.
Great. Thanks, Charlie.
Great. Thank you.
So that was Charlie Nooney, CEO of MobiTV. If you want some more information about what they do, you can go to their website at mobitv.com. When I raised the regulatory question to Charlie in the interview, I really did like his answer, because I do agree with that. I mean, Joel and I we do feel as though that there needs to be regulation in an industry where you have such few players. But on the other hand, if we can kind of again, it comes down to net neutrality and being able to keep the internet separate from the content that goes over it. But if we could do that, if we can kind of keep those two things separate, then customers are going to, make that movement happen when it comes to pay TV providers going to more modern IPTV based solutions where you can just install an app of your pay TV service on your streaming device and watch your content. Because if everyone keeps moving over to these platforms like your Sling TV and all the rest, then they're going to have no choice. And if Charlie's company is out there offering them kind of, a metaphorical life raft, they would be stupid not to take it. And as Joel is fond of saying, if you're really, really rich, you can be a little bit dumb, but really that'll only go so far. And you're going to have to, at some point, kind of just jump on board and give the customers what they want. I was really happy to have Charlie on today because usually on the show, it's very kind of customer focused, and it's, what, the end user or the end viewer expect out of their, media delivery service. And it was just really good to have somebody who kind of can see it from the other side, but also understand that the industry needs to move forward and is actually developed something to help them, to kind of bring them to the light, to bring them closer to what we want. I mean, it was really good insight for me, and I just hope it really was for you out there as well. And that brings another episode of the Grounded Reason podcast to a close. Just want to thank everybody out there for listening. Let all your friends know about the show. Tell them to check out Grounded Reason podcast on iTunes or the iPhone podcast app, or wherever you guys listen to podcasts. You'll be able to find the Grounded Reason podcast. So tell your friends to go ahead and give it a listen. If you're enjoying the show, and especially if you're enjoying the show on iTunes, pick up your iPhone or your iPad and hit that subscribe button. Even if you just come every week to just download the newest episode, it would really help us out if you subscribe. That's how they rank shows, and that's how we get visibility and people to listen. So we would really appreciate it, and of course we would be indebted to you all forever. And also, if you're digging the show, you can maybe leave us a 5-star review, nice review on iTunes. That would be helpful as well. If you have any questions or comments, you can follow us on Twitter. The handle's @GroundedReason. You can send us an email. The email address is podcast@groundedreason.com. You can hit us up on the Facebook page or leave a comment on the blog, which of course is groundedreason.com. Now, we haven't mentioned this in a while, but you can actually also leave your question or comment for the show on our voicemail. And that number is 650-825-5477. It spells TALK-GRP. So it's for Grounded Reason podcast. So it's a 650-TALK-GRP. 650-825-5477. Again, thanks for listening. This is Dennis Rostaro. Take care, everyone.